Gabriella stared at the immigration letter in her trembling hands, the words blurring through hot tears as the ultimatum sank in. Marry an American citizen within months or face deportation back to a country where her very existence as a lesbian could mean imprisonment or worse. She had fled Mexico 3 years ago, chasing the American dream in bustling New York City, but now at 28, that dream twisted into a nightmare of survival. In a haze of desperation, she agreed to a sham marriage with Mark, a distant acquaintance who needed cash and promised discretion. No strings, just papers. The wedding was a farce in a dingy courthouse, Mark's smirk hidden behind a cheap suit, while Gabriella's mind screamed in protest, every vow a lie that clawed at her soul. Why me? She thought, her heart pounding with the weight of her secret identity, buried deep to avoid judgment from her conservative family back home. As they signed the documents, a cold dread settled in her chest. This was no escape, just a deeper cage. Days blurred into weeks of awkward cohabitation in Mark's cramped Brooklyn apartment, where Gabriella slept on the couch, her thoughts drifting to the women she had loved in secrecy. Mark was kind at first, but his demands grew. Act like a real wife in public, he insisted, his eyes lingering too long. Gabriella's inner turmoil raged. Was this the price of freedom? To pretend, to suppress, to let her true self wither? She confided in no one, the isolation gnawing at her like a relentless storm. One evening at a mandatory couples dinner with Mark's friends, Gabriella met Alice. Alice was everything Gabriella wasn't allowed to be. Openly gay, confident, a 30-year-old graphic designer with a laugh that cut through the room's tension like sunlight. Their eyes locked across the table, and Gabriella felt a spark she hadn't known in years. A dangerous pull that made her pulse race. Alice's casual mention of her ex-girlfriend sent Mark shifting uncomfortably, but Gabriella hung on every word, her mind whispering, "This is who I am. Why must I hide?" As the night wore on, Alice pulled Gabriella aside during a smoke break on the balcony. "You seem out of place here," Alice said softly, her blue eyes searching Gabriella's brown ones. Gabriella froze, her defenses cracking. "It's complicated," she muttered, but inside, a voice urged her to confess everything, the fake marriage, the fear, the longing. Instead, she changed the subject, but Alice's number ended up in her phone, a lifeline she didn't dare grasp yet. Back home, Mark confronted her. "What was that with Alice? You know we have to look convincing for the interview." His tone was laced with accusation, revealing his own insecurities about the arrangement. Gabriella's anger flared inwardly. "He thinks he owns me now? This was supposed to be business, not control." She lay awake that night, replaying Alice's smile, questioning if pursuing anything real was worth risking deportation. The moral quandary twisted her guts. Lie to stay or be true and lose everything? The next day, Gabriella texted Alice on impulse, suggesting coffee. It was a small rebellion, but as they met in a cozy Manhattan cafe, conversation flowed like a river breaking free. Alice shared stories of coming out to her progressive family, the freedom it brought despite societal pushback. Gabriella envied her, her own family a ghost haunting her decisions, her mother's voice echoing in her head. "Marry well, Mija, or you'll shame us all." How could she explain a green card marriage without exposing the fraud? As they parted, Alice's hand brushed Gabriella's, sending electricity through her. "We should do this again," Alice said, her voice hopeful. Gabriella nodded, but doubt flooded her. What if Mark finds out? What if immigration suspects? The stakes were life-altering. Each choice a potential betrayal of self or others. Yet, in that moment Gabriella felt alive, the first crack in her armored heart. Weeks passed in a whirlwind of secret meetings. Alice became Gabriella's confidant, listening as Gabriella haltingly revealed pieces of her past. Loves lost to fear. A childhood stifled by expectations. "I can't keep pretending," Gabriella admitted one afternoon in Central Park, the autumn leaves an ironic backdrop to her unraveling. Alice's empathy was a balm, but it stirred deeper conflicts. Was Gabriella using Alice as an escape, or was this genuine? Mark's suspicion grew, culminating in a heated argument. "You're seeing someone, aren't you?" he accused, his face red with jealousy he had no right to feel. Gabriella denied it, but the lie tasted bitter. Inside she wrestled. Betray Mark's trust in their deal, or betray her own heart? The pressure mounted as the immigration interview loomed, a ticking bomb threatening to expose everything. Gabriella's family called from Mexico, pressuring her about her husband. Their voices laced with pride in her supposed stability. "We're so happy for you," her sister said, unaware of the charade. The guilt was crushing. How many lies could one person sustain before breaking? Gabriella's inner monologue turned frantic. Am I a fraud in every way? To my family, to Mark, to myself? Alice offered solace, but even that felt tainted by the deception. One night, after a stolen kiss with Alice in a dimly lit bar, Gabriella returned home to find Mark waiting. "I know about her," he spat, holding up her phone. Panic surged through Gabriella. This could end it all. Mark's betrayal stung. He had snooped, violating their agreement. "You promised discretion," she shot back, her voice trembling. But Mark's response was an ultimatum. End it with Alice or he'd report the marriage as fake. The confrontation escalated, voices rising as years of suppressed emotion poured out. Gabriella's mind raced. Lose Alice and secure her future? Or fight for truth and risk everything? The decision loomed like a shadow, each path fraught with pain. In the end, she chose to stand her ground, but the cost was immediate. Mark stormed out, leaving her alone with the wreckage. The immigration office loomed like a fortress of judgment, its sterile halls echoing with Gabriella's footsteps as she and Mark entered for the interview. They had rehearsed answers, but Mark's cold shoulder since their fight made every glance feel like an accusation. Inside her, turmoil brewed. How can I sit here and lie while my heart belongs elsewhere? The officer's questions probed deep. How they met, their daily life. Each response a nail in the coffin of her integrity. Gabriella's thoughts spiraled during the wait. If they sense the fraud, I'm done. Back to Mexico, where being gay means hiding or dying. Mark's resentment was palpable. His answers clipped, fueling her fear. When the officer asked about their intimacy, Gabriella's stomach churned. Another layer of deception, pretending affection for a man while craving Alice's touch. Post-interview relief was short-lived. Mark exploded in the car. You almost blew it with your nerves. This Alice thing ends now, or I walk. His words were a betrayal of their pact, turning business into personal vendetta. Gabriella's inner voice screamed. He was never a friend, just an opportunist. But she needed him. Without the marriage, her visa expired in weeks. Desperate, Gabriella met Alice that evening in a quiet bookstore. The scent of pages a temporary escape. I can't do this anymore, Gabriella confessed, tears welling as she revealed the sham marriage. Alice's face shifted from shock to hurt. You lied to me? About everything. The accusation cut deep. Alice's trust fracturing before Gabriella's eyes. Inside, Gabriella agonized. Was honesty the right choice, or just another selfish act? Alice pulled away, needing space, leaving Gabriella reeling. The rejection was a fresh wound, amplifying her isolation. That night, alone, Gabriella questioned her decisions. Why drag Alice into my mess? Is love worth the collateral damage? Her family's expectations haunted her. Immigrant success stories didn't include queer awakenings. Days later, Mark's demands intensified. He wanted more money, leveraging her secret. Pay up or I tell immigration about your girlfriend. Blackmail now tainted their deal. A moral low that forced Gabriella to confront her naivety. She wired the cash, hating herself. Am I buying time or selling my soul? The transaction felt like a piece of her dying. Reconnecting with Alice proved torturous. Alice agreed to meet, but tension hung heavy. I get the pressure you're under, Alice said, her voice strained. But trust is everything. Gabriella poured out her fears, the societal stigma against immigrants, the homophobia back home, the ethical tightrope of survival. Alice softened, sharing her own battles with family rejection after coming out. My parents cut me off for years, she admitted, vulnerability bridging the gap. Their bond deepened amid the chaos, stolen moments becoming lifelines. But societal pressures mounted. At work, colleagues whispered about Gabriella's husband, forcing her to maintain the facade. Inside, she raged. Why must I perform heteronormativity to belong? The double life eroded her spirit, each lie a erosion of self. A family video call brought fresh agony. Her mother beamed. Tell us about Mark. When are the grandkids? Gabriella forced a smile, the deception weighing like lead. Her sister's probing questions hinted at suspicion, amplifying guilt. They're proud of a lie. How long before it unravels? The cultural clash tore at her. Mexican traditions clashing with American freedom she couldn't fully claim. Mark's betrayal escalated when he confronted Alice directly, showing up at her workplace. "Stay away from my wife," he warned, his possessiveness unmasked. Alice called Gabriella in fury. "He's unhinged. This is dangerous." The incident forced a reckoning. Gabriella realized Mark's jealousy stemmed from his own closeted feelings, a twist that complicated her anger. Pity mixed with rage. "He's hurting too, but at my expense?" Gabriella's decision crystallized. She filed for divorce, risking everything. The paperwork was a declaration of war. Mark's response: venomous texts threatening exposure. Fear gripped her. Immigration could investigate, deem the marriage fraudulent. But freedom beckoned, the price her stability. Alice stood by her, their relationship evolving into quiet support. Yet doubts lingered. Is this love or trauma bonding? Gabriella's inner conflicts peaked during sleepless nights, weighing ethics. Deceive for safety, or embrace truth and face consequences. As the divorce proceedings began, societal backlash hit. Friends distanced themselves, labeling her ungrateful immigrant. Online forums debated green card marriages, painting her as opportunistic. The scrutiny intensified her isolation, but Alice's encouragement sparked resilience. "You're fighting for you, finally." Courtroom tension thickened the air as Gabriella faced Mark across the aisle, his glare a silent promise of revenge. The divorce hearing exposed cracks in their story, the judge questioning motives. Gabriella's heart hammered. If he spills about the fraud, it's over. Her lawyer advised silence, but inside she battled. Confess and seek mercy or cling to the lie. Mark's testimony twisted facts, portraying Gabriella as manipulative, using him for citizenship. "She never loved me," he sneered, the irony lost on him. Gabriella's rebuttal was measured, but her mind screamed. "You knew it was fake." The ethical dilemma gnawed. Admit the sham and face deportation, or perjure herself further. Post-hearing, immigration notified her of an audit. Mark's anonymous tip suspected. Panic surged. "He's destroying me out of spite." Alice waited outside, her embrace an anchor, but even that stirred guilt. Am I worth this risk to her? Alice's job involved public scrutiny. Association with a potential fraud could tarnish her. Family pressure amplified via frantic calls. Divorce? After all we've sacrificed for you to stay there. Her father thundered, unaware of the truth. Gabriella's silence fueled their disappointment, her inner voice lamenting. They sent me here for a better life, not this mess. The cultural rift deepened. American individualism versus familial duty. Alice's family entered the fray, inviting Gabriella to dinner in an attempt at normalcy. But Alice's conservative aunt cornered her. Marriage is sacred, why throw it away? The homophobic undertones stung. Societal norms clashing with their reality. Gabriella defended quietly but inside seethed. Why judge what you don't understand? The evening ended in awkwardness, straining Alice's family ties. Betrayal struck when a mutual friend leaked Gabriella's story online. Anonymous posts labeling her a green card chaser and homewrecker. Comments flooded with anti-immigrant vitriol, some defending LGBTQ rights but condemning fraud. Gabriella's world shrank, paranoia setting in. Who can I trust? The public shaming was an emotional gut punch, forcing her to deactivate social media. Alice's support wavered under the strain. This is affecting my life too, she admitted during a heated argument. Clients are asking questions. Hurt flashed in Gabriella's eyes. Is she regretting us? The confrontation escalated, words like daggers. Gabriella accusing Alice of cowardice, Alice retorting about recklessness. They parted in anger, the rift a fresh wound. Alone, Gabriella grappled with moral ambiguities. Was the marriage wrong from the start? A desperate act, yes, but survival isn't black and white. Therapy sessions secretly sought, unpacked layers, childhood repression, immigrant trauma, queer identity suppression. You're paying the price now, the therapist said, echoing her thoughts. Reconciliation with Alice came slowly. A park bench apology mending fences. I can't lose you, Gabriella whispered, vulnerability raw. Alice nodded but cautioned, we need boundaries. Their bond strengthened through adversity, but societal whispers persisted, friends choosing sides. Mark's final betrayal unfolded. A recorded confession sent to immigration, admitting the fraud to spite her. Officials summoned Gabriella for questioning, the noose tightening. Her lawyers scrambled for options. Apply for asylum based on sexual orientation persecution in Mexico. The process was grueling, requiring proof of her identity, exposing her to family scrutiny. Coming out to her family became inevitable. Via video, tears streaming, Gabriella revealed everything: the marriage lie, her love for Alice, the fears. Silence followed, then her mother's sobs. How could you? Rejection hit like a wave, her father disconnecting. The pain was visceral. I've lost them for truth. But a small voice whispered, or gained myself. Alice's encouragement buoyed her during the asylum hearing. Testimonies from advocates highlighting dangers for LGBTQ individuals in Mexico. The judge's sympathy offered hope, but uncertainty loomed. Gabriella's inner resolve hardened. No more hiding, whatever the cost. The asylum office buzzed with nervous energy as Gabriella presented her case, documents trembling in her hands. Witnesses spoke of homophobic violence in Mexico, painting a grim picture she knew too well. Inside, she questioned, am I exploiting the system, or claiming rightful protection? The ethical gray area blurred lines between victim and opportunist. Post-hearing relief mixed with dread. The decision pending, weeks of limbo ahead. Alice's patience wore thin. How much longer can we live like this? She asked, frustration evident. Gabriella's guilt surged. She's sacrificing for my chaos. Their relationship strained under constant threat. Intimacy replaced by worry. Family reconciliation attempts faltered. Her sister's email arrived harsh. You've shamed us. Don't contact us. The words pierced, amplifying isolation. Gabriella's monologue turned introspective. Was staying in America worth severing blood ties? Cultural identity clashed with personal freedom. A battle without victors. Societal backlash intensified via a viral article on immigrant fraud, subtly referencing her case. Protests outside immigration offices chanted against cheaters, lumping her with stereotypes. Gabriella avoided public spaces, paranoia peaking. They're judging me everywhere. Alice defended her online, facing trolls, the toll evident in her weary eyes. A turning point came when Mark contacted her, remorseful. I was angry, but I went too far, he admitted over coffee, revealing his own struggles with identity. Gabriella's anger softened. Forgiveness, or another trap? She chose empathy but set boundaries, their shared pain an ironic bond. With Alice, a weekend getaway offered respite, conversations delving deep. What if I get deported? Gabriella voiced her fear. Alice's response was fierce. We'll fight together. The commitment reignited hope, but reality intruded. Alice's promotion jeopardized by association. Betrayal from an unexpected source. Alice's best friend, jealous of their closeness, leaked private messages to Mark. He used them in a custody-like claim over shared assets, dragging the divorce. Gabriella felt violated. Trust shattered again. Confronting Alice's friend led to an explosive scene, accusations flying. You don't deserve her, the friend spat, exposing underlying homophobia. The fallout tested their love. Alice cut ties with the friend, but doubt crept in. Maybe we're toxic together, Alice mused during a tearful night. Gabriella's heart broke. Am I the problem? The self-doubt was crippling, decisions weighing heavy. Immigration's decision arrived. Asylum granted, but with conditions: probationary status, no fraud charges pursued due to mitigating factors. Elation surged, but Mark's appeal loomed, bitterness fueling his fight. Gabriella's victory felt hollow. Freedom at what cost? Family thawed slightly, her mother called, voice tentative. I don't understand, but I love you. The olive branch sparked hope, but healing was slow. Gabriella reflected. Reconciliation demands vulnerability from all. As tensions peaked, a public speaking opportunity arose. Gabriella shared her story at an LGBTQ rally, voice shaking but resolute. Applause followed, but backlash too. Death threats from extremists. The exposure was a double-edged sword. Empowerment versus danger. Alice stood beside her on stage, their united front a statement. Yet privately Alice confessed, "I'm scared for us." The admission forced a choice. Pull back for safety or push forward. Gabriella's awakening deepened, recognizing the systemic issues, immigration policies trapping queer individuals, societal norms enforcing conformity. Her actions rippled, inspiring others but inviting scrutiny. Freedom's weight settled on Gabriella as she unpacked in a new apartment, asylum papers framed like a trophy. But solitude amplified echoes of loss. Families' distant silence, friends' faded presences. Inside she wondered, was it all worth it? Alice moved in tentatively, their cohabitation a test of resilience. Daily life normalized but shadows lingered. At work, promotions evaded her due to her publicized story. Biases unspoken but felt. Gabriella's resolve hardened. I'll prove them wrong. Alice's career rebounded but resentment simmered. I gave up so much for this. A family visit from her sister marked a pivotal shift. Awkward hugs gave way to confessions. Mom's struggling with it, but she misses you. Gabriella shared her journey, tears flowing. The sister's acceptance was partial. I support you, but it's hard. Progress, yet painful, cultural divides not easily bridged. Societal acceptance proved elusive. A neighborhood petition against immoral influences targeted them, forcing a move. Hate mail arrived, words like deport the fraud stinging. Gabriella's anger fueled activism, joining support groups for queer immigrants. Empowerment grew but exhaustion too. Fighting every day wears the soul. Alice's doubts culminated in a raw argument. Sometimes I wonder if we'd be better apart, she admitted, the words a gut punch. Gabriella recoiled. After all this? The betrayal felt profound, echoing past hurts. They separated briefly, space allowing reflection. Love requires sacrifice, but how much? Reunion came through therapy, unpacking traumas. We both paid dearly, Alice acknowledged. Their bond reformed stronger, decisions intentional. Gabriella's inner peace flickered. Authenticity's price is steep, but denial's is steeper. Mark reappeared, seeking forgiveness in a letter. I was lost too. Gabriella met him, closure mutual. His own coming out story mirrored hers, a twist of fate. Empathy replaced enmity. We're all victims of the system. Family fully reconciled at a holiday gathering via video. Her mother's tearful apology. I was wrong to judge. The moment healed wounds, but scars reminded. Damage lingers. Highs and lows intertwined as Gabriella published a memoir excerpt, sparking debates on immigration and queer rights. Praise mixed with criticism. Hero or cheater? The public eye was invasive but voice amplified. Alice proposed partnership in a quiet ceremony, not legal marriage but commitment. Vows exchanged amid friends, a family forged from choice. Joy overflowed but Gabriella pondered. Is this the deserved family born from ashes? As the story crested, awakenings solidified. Gabriella's from suppression to advocacy. Alice's from security to solidarity. Prices paid. Trust shattered, bonds broken, identities tested. Yet growth emerged. In the end, Gabriella stood taller, the American dream redefined not as assimilation but authenticity. But the question lingers, was deceiving for survival ethically justifiable? Or does it perpetuate the very systems it seeks to escape?